Don't Starve Together. The uncompromising survival game where you have to defend yourself against the many monsters the game throws at you. But what if you simply couldn't? In other words, can you beat Don't Starve Together without attacking? The rules are relatively simple. Today I'm once again gonna be attempting to beat the 2 final bosses of DST without even lifting a finger to attack them. If an action says attack or uses the attack key, it's simply not allowed. Also, to make this challenge even harder, I'm not gonna be allowed to use any gunpowder, followers or sentries to aid me in battle. I can, however, pit hostile enemies or bosses against each other. Okay, but am I missing something here? How do you plan on beating the game without attacking them? There's no way you can beat both FUELWEAVER and CC, right? 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 Well, I guarantee you've never seen anything like half the strategies I'm about to pull in this video. I literally beat one of the final bosses by playing Simon Says. Huh? Let's not dilly-dally anymore though and proceed straight into character selection, where we must pick Wormwood. Wormwood has many important abilities and also one very important skill we need to pick up. I'll go over them all when they become relevant, but now let's finally see if I can beat this game with my hands tied behind my back. Right as I spawn in, I use a command I found that makes me unable to attack. As you can see, I'm clicking this B and nothing happens. It didn't end up working that well though, since it immediately gets disabled when you enter the caves or exit the world. Anyways, this wormhole right next to spawn led me to the killer bee biome, meaning I found where we're basing in literally 10 seconds. I'll show you later why this is a good location. Then I ran around the starter biome for a day while making sure to pick all the berries I saw. The reason for this is that berries rot very quickly in this game. Wormwood, being a plant, can use this rot to heal himself, which makes up for his downside of not being able to heal through eating food. While I'm mining rocks here in the mosaic biome, let's talk about our master plan. The bosses we're up against have health.
What?
Normally, you can simply reduce said health by attacking said bosses. We, however, can't attack anything, meaning we have no way to reduce their health. So we need to fix that. This is where Wormwood comes into play. You see, Wormwood has some special crafts available to him, one of which is the bramble husk. Getting hit by an enemy while wearing this armor causes it to retaliate back at everything close to you without you having to actually attack. This is great and all, but there are 2 blatant problems with this plan. Number 1, to craft the armor, we need bee stingers. But to kill the bees to get the stingers, we need the armor. Yeah. And number 2, the armor only deals 22 damage, and the bosses we're up against all have 10,000 health or more.
Not a great plan.
But you know what? That's a problem for future me, so let's just come up with a strategy to defeat a 100 HP bee, shall we? And I think I have just a solution. Fire. Before we cook bees for dinner, however, I just need to mention how good this world generation ended up being. The wormholes are great, the biomes are great, I'm finding marble heads left and right, and the set pieces were really useful. This beefalo pen gave me some nice wool so I can make a saddle, for instance. And I could also get lots of poop from the beefalo to make Wormwood's special healing item. Then on day 3, I found exactly what I was looking for, the bee queen set piece. Here there are 2 killer beehives right next to some trees, and since killer bees automatically aggro on you without you having to hit them, I can simply commit arson on a tree and kite the bees around it until they die. Unfortunately, I also went complete monkey brain and almost killed myself in the process. This is annoying, since the other part of the bramble husk recipe requires living logs. Wormwood can craft living logs using 20 health per log, but since I now don't have enough, we need to wait until the berries rot to heal up. In the meantime, I scouted out the area around my base location whilst picking even more berries, and I ended up finding the oasis desert very close too. Then the berries rotted, meaning I could finally craft the bramble husk. The best thing about this item is that it's extremely good at farming itself. With me simply being outstanding in my field with it on, the bees all just die and I'm free to collect all their stingers and honey. Conveniently, honey can be used to craft honey poultices for healing, meaning bees give me just what I need to mass produce bramble husks, which is why we're basing next to them. You may have also noticed the massive flowers starting to form on my head. This is another feature of Wormwood's called blooming, and it's triggered by me using Wormwood's poop burrito to heal myself. In full bloom, I get a plus 20% speed boost among other things, meaning I want to stay like that as much as possible. After hammering some pig houses at Pig King for boards, I found yet another amazing wormhole that led all the way to the beefalo savanna, so I took the opportunity to bind the diarrhea cow to my bell. While heading back through the mosaic biome, I also found the marble set piece, and thanks to the wormhole, all the pieces are really close. We'll need to bring these together to be able to fight ancient FUELWEAVERs, so this is awesome. Then I realized something very annoying. Spider silk is a resource that goes into many useful crafts in DST, and the main way to obtain silk is to destroy these spider dens. Unfortunately, the dens have a lot of health in comparison to the spiders, meaning we have no way to destroy them in a reasonable time. This means I'll need to kill the spiders for silk, but their silk drop rate is only 25%. Oh no, this is a problem. I'm low on health, but most notably low on sanity from farming the spiders. Being insane in this game spawns nightmare creatures, and they are way above our pay grade to deal with right now.
You're broke!
To fix my sanity, I attempted to kite the nightmares around the science machine whilst I prototyped some items. It was pretty sketchy, especially as nighttime hit, but this way I could at least catch some fireflies and save my seeds for later. Instead of finding a reliable way to restore my sanity, I decided to head into the swamp with an unsaddled beefalo. That went about as well as you might imagine, but I could at least pick a bunch of reeds for those honey poultices I mentioned. Well, now I'm insane again, but Wormwood has got me covered once again. Since he's a plant, he sympathizes with them and thus loses 5 sanity from digging up grass tufts and stuff. But since he's a plant, he sympathizes with them and thus gains 10 sanity from planting dug up grass tufts and stuff. So by simply harassing a piece of grass for a minute, I can restore almost all my sanity. While I was going to get a new beefalo, I witnessed the most beautiful thing. I got said beefalo and then went back to base. I now realize that I should have based a little bit farther away from the bees. They aren't dangerous, but they're attracted to me blooming, and they're gonna stick around every single day and be really loud and really annoying. Hello? Can I open my chest, please? Thank you. Then I built a lightning rod, a bird cage that I never used, a magic hat machine, and some more chests. I also used the honey poultices to make a bunch of living logs. Why are we making living logs, I hear you ask? Well, because we are going to the ruins. If you've never played this wonderful game, you likely don't know what I'm yapping about. The ruins is easily the most dangerous area in this game, but one we need to go to for some gear needed for both of our targets. Gear is also good, so it's best to head there ASAP. Problem is that we will get absolutely curb stomped in our current state, but I have a plan for healing that requires a trip into the caves anyway. Immediately upon entering, I discover how terrible our failsafe command is, as I accidentally bonk a gnome in the head with a pickaxe. No one saw that, okay? We immediately get served some instant karma for our transgressions though, as we discover a big hole in our current strategy. The Bramblehusk's thorns have a tiny cooldown. I thought this guy would get shredded due to his many small attacks, but no. He just walked away like nothing happened, and instead I got shredded. Baffled about how scammed I had become, I decided to take a field trip into some ancient archive where I mined a couple statues for that juicy thulecite. Thulecite being the crafting ingredient for that juicy ruins gear I mentioned. Days of searching later, I finally found what I was looking for, a bunny town. By stealing their homes, we obtain a good collection of bunny puffs. Puffs that can and will be used to make many fur rolls. Fur rolls have 3 uses each, and they let us sleep in them, which drains our hunger but restores both our sanity and health. And they say Wormwood can't heal from food. With this newfound power, we let some shadow-infested monkeys nibble on us, to their demise of course, so that we can obtain the second important crafting ingredient, nightmare fuel. Since killing nightmares is largely unprofitable for us due to their large health pool, this is our only option to amass fuel. We then proceeded to sleep the pain away, while what's left of the monkey population attempted to rob us. Since the ruins are quite dangerous and we are basically defenseless, I instead attempt to rob the labyrinth. As long as you don't step on the webs, this place is really peaceful. While looking through the chests, I come across this handsome lad, the Ancient Guardian. We'll need to kill him at some point since he guards the key to Ancient FUELWEAVER. That will happen later though, since we are very broke at the moment. We make another monkey run, engage in riveting gameplay, and then we enter the most bountiful part of the ruins, the Sacred Branch. To be able to mine all the statues here, we use our good friend Hutch as a meat shield. Twice. Yeah, I'll be feeling that one one tomorrow. Whatever, we are now super duper rich with 55 Thulesite, 29 Nightmare Fuel and a bucket load of gems to our name. We use these riches to craft a bunch of staves and not one, not two, but you guessed it, 7 Thulesite crowns. I don't even have the inventory space to bring them all back, but we need to come here again later for Ancient Guardian, so that's fine. On our way out, we make, you guessed it, another monkey run. And when we exit, we get greeted by winter. This doesn't really harm us, since we can counter it by simply carrying this rock around and occasionally heating it up. Then I commit bee genocide once again to mass produce a whole bunch of bramble husks. Hopefully we won't need to craft more for the entire run. Spoiler alert, we will! I also realized that we have some work to do. On day 31, there will be a full moon. And before then, we need to assemble the marble pieces I've talked about a couple times now. And so we finally saddle our beefalo and get to moving. Thanks to the wormhole, moving the pieces becomes a breeze, but it has left us insane, unfortunately. And I didn't fix it in time, meaning I now have to scramble around with a shovel in the middle of the night like an idiot. The idiocy doesn't end there though, because when I get back to base, I waste 2 construction amulet uses on making poop burritos. Like, bro, get it together! So what I meant to do was actually using the amulet to make some of my own bunny hutches over by the local spiders. Hopefully they will farm me some spider silk so I don't have to do that myself. Yes, 0 silk from 8 spiders. Flavor of the day. Also, I really don't know why I didn't make 8 crockpots. Then I used my beefalo to take out this walrus guy, and bro, the beefalo absolutely sucks. I could have done that way easier with a single bramble trap. Wait, did you say bramble trap? Yes, this is another very important Wormwood exclusive item that will help us deal with the very first boss of the run. On day 30, DEERCLOPS will come stomping with 4000 health, and we 100% need the item she drops. There is no way our little bramble husks can manage that though, meaning traps will help tremendously. Since traps can only trigger 10 times before breaking and only deal 40 damage as spank, I also went to pick up the terrarium from this chest so we can get the Eye of Terror to help us out a little bit. When the night of day 30 hits, I place down a sign as bait and activate that terrarium. Here we go! Would you look at that? The traps work wonders when we're in blue. This gives me a lot of hope for the bigger bosses later, but we can't think about that now since night 31 is a full moon. We have 2 very important tasks that both need to be done tonight. One is visiting the statues we assembled earlier, and the other is performing the Moonstone event. During this event, you're supposed to play tower defense and guard this stone while it transforms your Starcaller staff into a Mooncaller staff. But obviously, we can't really do anything since we can't attack. We can, however, exploit Don't Starve's loading mechanics to win for free. By placing 6 walls in this pattern, the attackers will attempt to get to the other side, but by moving exactly 19 pitchfork tiles away, we can unload the enemies while keeping the staff loaded. By listening to the game sounds, I know when the event ends, and tada, our Mooncaller staff is done. Now we need to book it to the complete other side of the map, and if it weren't for the wormholes and the beefalo, I don't think I would have made it. By mining the statues during a full moon, we firstly spawn a couple clockworks, but the real reason we did it was to get access to the knight, rook and bishop figure sketches. These will let us craft our own knight, rook and bishop sculptures that we can hammer on a new moon to summon the shadow versions of these pieces. Those are not only a boss we 100% need to beat to be able to summon the ancient FUELWEAVER, but also a massive problem for us. You see, since the shadow pieces are incorporeal, they are immune to all forms of environmental damage. Yes, this includes both fire and traps, and like we established, the bramble husks by themselves ain't gonna cut it. This means that to even have a chance at beating them whatsoever, we need to switch characters. But, do you remember the ancient guardian down in the ruins? Yeah, we need the bramble traps for that guy, meaning we need to deal with him and set up the character switch before day 41 when the new moon happens. But we also need to think about the other boss, the celestial champion, and to fight him we need a pearl from a hermit out in the ocean, and to get the pearl we among other things need to give her a clothing item when it's snowing and winter ends on day 35. We gotta lock in. Okay, to make sure it snows in time, we need a telelocator staff. And because I wasted a construction amulet earlier, I don't have enough nightmare fuel to craft it. So I dipped down in the ruins real quick to make another monkey run. I also realized I don't have enough hound's teeth to make the clothing item we need, meaning I have to burn the final amulet use on making that. Thankfully, I know where the hermit lives since I found a message in a bottle back on day 4. Problem though, the hermit enters her house during dusk, meaning we have less than 3 minutes to get there. We ride the beefalo as far as possible, then we make a boat and an oar and start paddling like crazy. We found a driftwood piece immediately and make a better oar, but there's a waterlogged biome in the way. After weaseling our way past a couple of trees, we get assaulted by a bunch of spiders. We don't care though and simply put the bramble husk on and keep paddling. We're also freezing to death and the clock is ticking down fast as we approach the island. We run around the island and spot Pearl trying to enter her house, but at the literal last second we block her. Warm up, trigger the snow and give her the vest. Jeez, that was way more intense than it needed to be. Well, since I'm an idiot, I don't telelocate home and decide to paddle instead. This results in hounds assaulting us in the middle of the night when I'm once again freezing to death. As if that wasn't enough, right when we make land, spring hits and my beefalo therefore betrays me. Fantastic, now I'm insane as well and 2 terrorbeaks are chasing me. I love this challenge. Now we need to quickly prepare for Ancient Guardian. And do you remember that eyeball we picked up from DEERCLOPS? Yeah, together with a couple of bones and sticks, we turn it into the eyebrow that will completely protect us from rain now that it's spring and also ward off the summer heat for a while. Next, we need a whole bunch of living logs to make traps with, so that means sleeping, gathering niter for some more poop burritos, and I also thought I would venture into the mandrake forest with the hope of finding some totally normal trees. That is when RNGesus once again blesses us with the best thing we can possibly find, a living forest set piece. This set piece is home to 10 tree guards that drop 6 living logs each, meaning by investing 10 living logs into traps to take them out, we profit 50 living logs. I swear this world isn't sealed. Well, it's safe to say that we have enough living logs for Ancient Guardian now, so we head back into the labyrinth to take him down. But not before making another monkey run, of course, and this time I use this rook. So satisfying. Anyways, let's fight this guy. Wow, I can't believe that actually worked. And it even worked well. Well, that is terrible loot. Could I at least have gotten some pool sites? Before we hurry up to the surface, I thought I would craft some more stuff while we're here. That almost went extremely horribly since Hutch decided to invite a rook over for dinner. That was inches away from destroying my crafting station. When the coast became clear, I went to craft stuff and I made a magiluminescence for the speed boost as well as some crowns, completely forgetting I wanted to upgrade my walking cape. Back at the surface, we have but one day until we need to summon the shadow pieces. I prepare by farming up a couple of bees and making more bramble husks since I really don't want to run out of them. I took a quick nap, I headed through the wormhole and picked up the celestial orb from the mosaic biome, and then I headed back to base. But, you might ask? You're nowhere close to being ready for this shadow piece, boys, and the new moon night is almost over. Hello? Thankfully, I have a master plan to deal with this situation. I summon only the shadow rook, and another shadow rook, and another. I think you realize it now. If but one shadow piece is alive, it allows me to summon more, even though it isn't a new moon night. I secretly prepared the knight and bishop statues back at spawn, meaning we can simply leave the rook there when we're ready. We have a lot to do still though, and if all the rooks die, we're cooked. Not to mention that they can just easily kill us if we lose our focus. While preparing the things for the character switch, I summon more rooks until we have 6 of them chasing us. Then we take them all to the Oasis Desert. The character I'm switching to is called WX78, and he's a robot. His thing is plugging circuits into himself to enhance his powers, and one of them stands out in particular, the electrification circuit. Up to 3 ECs can be equipped at a time, and they will do 30 damage each to anything that attacks us, or 50 damage each if said attacker is wet. Since it's spring, targets will most likely be wet, meaning by combining this with a bramble husk, we can deal a massive 172 recoil damage per hit we tank. This is how we're gonna defeat the shadow pieces. Problem is though, that we first need 3 electric goat milk to craft them, which can only be obtained by killing one of these goats after it has been struck by lightning. Zeus must have heard our pleas, cause after 2 minutes of hanging around the goats, lightning strikes. To kill the goat that has 700 health, I use the galaxy brain strategy of letting the rooks take care of it. Worked like a charm, and it didn't take long for lightning to strike again and again, giving us all the milk we needed. Since the rooks have left my sanity in shambles, I plant all my seeds when I get back to base to restore it. Since only Wormwood can plant them directly into the ground, that's all the more reason to do that now. The moon rocks we gathered in the archives earlier now let us upgrade the spawn portal, and by offering a moon rock idol to this new celestial portal, we can switch character to WX. Problem though, when you switch characters, you get this aura of protection around you that de-aggroes all the mobs around. If the rooks are de-aggroed for too long though, they will simply despawn, and we can't simply attack the rooks to get rid of the aura. Thankfully though, I get rid of it by using this fire staff to light a flower on fire. Crisis averted. I also haven't mentioned this yet, but the ECs require another resource to be crafted, biodata. Biodata is only obtainable by WX by using his bioscanalizer Jimmy on certain mobs. I tried to scan a mole for example, but the rooks just killed it, meaning we need bigger fish to scan that won't just die immediately. Yes, this is definitely not a terrible idea that could get me and all the rooks killed. No. By scanning Bee Queen, which becomes a smidge easier with a pan flute, we obtain 10 out of the 15 biodata we need. Well, all but one of my rooks just died in the process, meaning I need to be really careful from now on to not let this one die. My jaw dropped when I reviewed the footage, however, since I immediately headed right into the swamp like a moron. Like, bro, do you remember what happened to your beefalo in this same run? Whatever. High risk, high reward, since I not only got a bunch of reeds for honey poultices, but also some blue mushrooms from this mushroom ring. Then I made my way back to the Oasis Desert to scan a vault goat for the final 5 biodata, as well as the recipe for the EC. After crafting up the circuits, cooking a billion honey ham, resetting the rook's HP by summoning a new one and letting the old one die to bees, as well as running all the gear over to spawn, I say we're finally ready to take on the shadow pieces. As cool as that was, I have never ever had a fight that costly. We used 10 bramble husks, 8 toolsite crowns, and a whopping 1100 health worth of healing items on the freaking shadow pieces.
I am never gonna financially recover from this.
Yay, at least we got a dark sword we can't use. Whatever, we need a Shadow Horde to summon the ancient FUELWEAVER, so that's why we did this in the first place. Before we can take care of him, however, I have some business to take care of regarding Celestial Champion. When I get back to the base, however, and pick all the crops I planted, I get pranked by a tillweed that traps me. Normally, you can just hit the vines to escape, but since we can't, and since I didn't upgrade my cane to be able to teleport, the only way to escape is to go insane with the Mooncaller staff and let a shadow creature plink me a couple times. This challenge, bro. After taking a day to gather some resources we need for the rest of that hermit's tasks, I venture down into the ruins for the millionth time, where I use my newfound electric powers to defend myself against the nightmares, crafted a lot more crowns since so many of them broke, finally upgraded my cane so it now lets us teleport, and unlocked a special chair craft we also need for the hermit tasks. Then we went back into the archives. It's for this reason we needed the Mooncaller staff in the first place, since by deconstructing it, we obtain an iridescent gem that is needed to activate this place. Once activated, I can tap this fountain and open the knowledge it gives me by completing this puzzle. On the first try, of course. This unlocks the astral detector recipe that will point us to the 6 altar pieces we need to summon the Celestial Champion. 2 of them can simply be dug up on the mainland by triangulating their position. The following 3 can simply be mined out over on the lunar island, but the final one is where the problem arises. It is being guarded by Crab King, a boss out on the ocean. And to even have a chance of getting the altar piece from him, we firstly need to give him the pearl that the hermit gives us if we help her. After gathering up all the stuff I need for the tasks, I wanted to sail over to Crab King to prepare his arena for a strategy I had thought of. I hadn't tested it at that point, which I did later in a test world, and it turned out that the strategy sucked, meaning the trip was kinda pointless, is what I would have said if I hadn't found a shipwreck with a free Starcaller staff and a pan flute in it, as well as 2 cookie cutter shells that were the final missing piece for the pearl tasks. Then, when I went to Pearl, the weirdest thing happened. With the insulation, 3 home upgrades, chair, flower salad, drying rack, flower, lure plant, and berry bush tasks, that adds up to 10 tasks, right? So she should have given me the pearl. I thought I miscounted, so I also started digging up the trash around the island, but when dusk hit, she didn't enter her house like she's supposed to. Then, when I went up to her, she just gave me the pearl during the night. Bro, what? Now let's discuss the Crab King strategy. I tested every strategy I could think of, but he's immune to fire, he never attacks you directly, meaning a recoil is out of the question. I even tested the Shadow Rooks, but they simply walk off the boat and drown, and then Crab King heals to full again. I really thought I would have to bite the bullet and blow him up with gunpowder, but then I finally realized something that should have been super obvious from the beginning. You see, Crab King recently got reworked, making his fight way less obnoxious, and up until then, the community used to cheese him with bees. I thought Clay had patched that strategy, since I haven't seen people use it anymore, but I decided I would give it a shot, since the whole point of the strategy is that you don't need to attack Crab King yourself. And since the bees will be hostile to me, it also falls within the rules. To catch the bees, we need silk for bug nets, however, and my bunnyman farm hasn't been doing much, sadly. By going into the caves and mining cave spider dens, we hit 2 birds with 1 stone, since we need the fossils from the dens to summon ancient FUELWEAVER. I feel so invincible wearing the crown and bramble husk down here. Everything just dies around me. Well, at least until they break, that is. I used the glands from the spiders to craft healing salves, caught 80 bees with the help of Chester, and now I say we're ready for Crab King. This should have absolutely been the easiest fight of the run by far, but you will soon witness something truly, well, I have no words. Let's just say I made a nearly fatal mistake by socketing 4 red gems, making his guard towers way stronger. Oh shit, thank god I had that telelocator staff, but we're not out of the woods yet, since we need to find Niter before we die and get back there as soon as possible to salvage what we can. By jumping from tree to tree and taking a dip into the caves, I made my way over to the mosaic biome and stocked up on Niter. Thankfully, I kept my driftwood in my hotbar so I can make another ore and fell to the battlefield. I seem to have lost all my rocks and flint, and Chester is nowhere to be seen, but since he died first, everything else seems to be here. I have no idea where the eye-bomb went, so let's just pinch up the altar before we look around. Okay, WTF, a claw must have yeeted it all the way here somehow. We got him back though, so that's all that matters. To finalize my Celestial Champion prep, I put some growth formula in the bottles I've got, since we're gonna switch back to Wormwood, and that helps with his blooming. I went and tamed the third beefalo of the run, since my last one died to some bees some time ago, because, well, he sucks, and I can't exactly defend him, can I? I gathered 8 pieces of scrap from the junkyard for later, I went to pick some more reeds for more poultices, I went to the oasis to fish up the blueprint for desert goggles that will be important, then I brought all the altars to the lunar island, but I importantly didn't activate the moonstorms just yet. I gathered a ludicrous amount of poop, niter, and light bulbs for rot, and then I switched to Wormwood to turn it all into poop burritos, and then living logs. Why? Well, since the final items we need for a Celestial Champion are dropped by FUELWEAVER, meaning we need to take care of him first. To prepare, I gathered what can only be described as infinite stingers, and by using the honey I got from it to make honey poultices, engaging in riveting gameplay, and slamming any form of healing I could find, I amassed a hefty 75 living logs, with more on the way in about 5 days. After using a honey ham to lead Berger away from base, we begin our journey to FUELWEAVER. In a recent quality of life fix, Clay made this journey way easier in 2 ways. You see, the FUELWEAVER can only be summoned in the atrium part of the ruins, and to get there, you need to find the correct big tentacle, kill it, and travel through the hole it leaves behind. The update firstly made it so the correct tentapillar is way easier to find, since it now only spawns in 2 biomes and is very recognizable. Secondly, since we can't attack it, it was very kind of Clay to leave 2 clockwork bishops at the entrance that we can use to trigger the AoE bramble traps, which kills the tentacle. FUELWEAVER is a really tough nut to crack. Partially because he's immune to fire, meaning that strategy goes out the window, and partway through the fight he starts repeatedly going invincible by summoning shadow torches around this ring. We can't simply destroy them like one usually would, which is why I made a ring of traps here to destroy them for me. Sadly, it's not that simple, since the torches won't trigger the traps themselves, but thankfully FUELWEAVER also summons woven shadows that can trigger the traps. This means that we'll need to line up these moves as often as possible, but just in case we can't, I also caught some spiders to manually trigger the traps by dropping them on them, and since we're gonna be insane the whole fight, we can let the nightmares attack us when we're wearing the bramble husk too. Being insane comes with a huge drawback though, of FUELWEAVER being able to mind control us. So let's see how this goes. Wow, that was at least somewhat clean. I'm genuinely surprised. He got off a couple annoying bone snares, but 15% should be just enough on our lazy explorer to get us out of here. Well, it looks like it, but bro, I was about to die just then. Since the tentacle respawned when we were fighting, I also need to kill it again somehow. But it was pretty easy just to get some spiders to trigger the traps for us. When we get back to the base, it's time to say goodbye to Wormwood for the rest of this run, since we're gonna be needing WX's lightning recoil ability for Celestial Champion. As I'm preparing some cobblestones here, you may be wondering why I've been trying to hurry all this time, and the reason is because we needed to make it to this point on day 81. Why? Well, as you may have realized, night 81 is once again a new moon night, meaning we can summon yet another couple shadow rooks that I want to help me out here during the Moonstorm event we're about to trigger. That makes up the final step in summoning Celestial Champion. The reason I couldn't trigger it earlier is simple. While the event is active, every night becomes a full moon night until we defeat Celestial Champion, and we can't exactly go into the caves either with the shadow rooks, can we? Meaning I had to sort all that business out beforehand. Getting the shadow rook back to the mainland was surprisingly simple actually, and we head back to base to finalize the Moonstorm prep and to bring the rook figure sketch along in case we need to summon emergency reinforcements. The desert goggles, whose blueprint we fished up out of the oasis earlier if you remember, will help us tremendously in traversing the moonstorms. Here we need to gather all the things necessary to build a lunar siphinator, which includes 15 moon gleams, 30 infused moon glass, 8 scrap that we got from the junkyard earlier, and 1 restrained static. The static is obtained by helping Wagstaff over here complete his experiment. He needs us both to get him the tools he needs and to kill all the birds that attack us. That is where the rooks come in. For some reason though, Clay didn't want me to complete this challenge since they tried to pull a fast one on me and secretly swap the names of 2 of the tools. This maneuver merely caught me off guard though, since I won't fall for such cheap tricks. I guess Clay got me though, since my infused moonglass spoiled right when I got to Lunar Island. Bruv. Well, I guess I'll just have to go back and get some more of them. That definitely didn't take me 2 full days, no. But, you may ask, why do you still keep the shadow rooks around? Haven't they already served their purpose? And why are you killing a shadow knight now for no reason? Well, I'm merely freshening it up, cause I've prepared a little surprise for our CC friend. I gotta say though, that this fight was genuinely the most terrifying experience I've had in this game. Okay, all the rooks are down. What now? Well, now, dear viewer, you're about to witness the most ridiculous boss fight in DST history. And I don't mean most ridiculous in the way that a lot of shenanigans happen. I mean it in the way that basically nothing happened for 15 minutes until the boss died. In other words, I beat the Celestial Champion by playing Simon freaking Says.
You're a fucking idiot.
By using the bone armor that FUELWEAVER dropped, we can completely block a hit while still dealing recoil damage back to CC. This refreshes every 5 seconds and the lasers from CC hits twice, meaning we can tank the first hit and dodge the second. Since we can also simply refuel the bone armor to restore its durability, the only cost of doing this becomes nightmare fuel, something that we now have in absolute abundance thanks to all the shadow rooks. Observe. Simon Says, step right. Simon Says, step right. Simon Says, step back. Simon Says, step back. Simon Says, run away. Simon Says, avoid falling crystals. Simon Says, step back. Simon Says, okay, this is getting boring, let's speed up. Simon Says, okay, this is still boring, let's skip to the end. Simon Says, you win! Can you beat Don't Start Together without attacking? The answer is yes. It's just incredibly freaking hard if you ban catapults and followers, since this run took me 3 weeks to pull off. If you found this video mildly entertaining, I strongly suggest you click that subscribe button. I have lots of awesome challenge run ideas planned that are just as, if not more crazy than this. So if that interests you, you should 100% subscribe. Until the next one though, enjoy life!